****. Want Fox News halftime report in your inbox every day? Sign up here. ****. On the roster, Trump declares national emergency, avoids shutdown, timeout, Teddy's Bears, Fox poll, majority thinks Dems can unseat Trump in 2020, Schultz won't run if Dems nominate a centrist, something special, turnip-ed. Eventually Trump declares national emergency, avoids SHUTDOWNNYT. President Trump declared a national emergency at the border on Friday to access billions of dollars to build a border wall that Congress refused to give him, transforming a highly charged policy dispute into a fundamental confrontation over separation of powers. In a televised announcement in the Rose Garden, Mr. Trump said he would sign the declaration to protect the country from the flow of drugs, criminals and illegal immigrants coming across the border from Mexico, which he characterized as a profound threat to national security. "We're going to confront the national security crisis on our southern border and we're going to do it one way or the other," he said. The declaration will enable Mr. Trump to divert $3.6 billion budgeted for military construction projects to the border wall, White House officials said. Mr. Trump will also use more traditional presidential budgetary discretion to tap $2.5 billion from counter-narcotics programs and $600 million from a Treasury Department asset forfeiture fund. Will a legal war be next? Politico. President Donald Trump's decision to declare a national emergency is set to unleash a furious legal war that could bog down the project for months or years. Immigrant rights advocates, property rights activists, environmentalists, Democratic lawmakers and state officials are all loudly signaling plans for a hail of legal writs aimed at blocking the president from what they have denounced as an unconstitutional end run around the usual budget process. Historically, it has been almost unthinkable for judges to interfere with or second-guess a president's declaration of a military or national security emergency. However, legal experts said Trump's history of erratic and inflammatory statements, his frequent rhetorical disconnects with senior officials in his administration and his tendency to see crises that others view as completely contrived mean that challengers stand a strong chance of finding a judge willing to throw a monkey wrench into the president's plans. Fox poll, most voters favor immigration deal. Fox News, a sizable majority of voter favors a broad immigration deal that includes a border barrier, non-barrier security measures, and humanitarian aid. At the same time, support for a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border stands its highest since 2015. The number favoring the wall inched up for the second time in 2 months to 46%, according to the latest Fox News poll. It was 43% last month during the government shutdown and 39% in September. The high mark was 50% in November 2015. Currently, 50% opposed the wall, down 1 point since January. A bipartisan 66% majority favors a budget deal that includes funding for some form of a border barrier, plus other security measures and humanitarian relief. The rule book, stay in your lane. In the first place, it is to be remembered that the general government is not to be charged with the whole power of making and administering laws. Its jurisdiction is limited to certain enumerated objects which concern all the members of the Republic, but which are not to be attained by the separate provisions of any. James Madison, Federalist No. 14 out. Teddy's Bears history. On this day in 1903, toy store owner and inventor Morris McTom places 2 stuffed bears in his shop window, advertising them as teddy bears. McTom had earlier petitioned President Theodore Roosevelt for permission to use his nickname, Teddy. The president agreed and, before long, other toy manufacturers began turning out copies of McTom's stuffed bears, which soon became a national childhood institution. One of Theodore Roosevelt's hunting expeditions provided the inspiration for the teddy bear. Reports differ as to the exact details of the inspiration behind the teddy bear, but it is thought that while hunting in Mississippi in 1902, Roosevelt came upon an old injured black bear that his guides had tied to a tree. The age, sex and state of health of the bear remain contested. While some reports claim Roosevelt shot the bear out of pity for his suffering, others insist he set the bear free. Political cartoonists later portrayed the bear as a cub, implying that under the tough, outdoorsy and macho image of Roosevelt lay a much softer, more sensitive interior. Flag on the play. Email us at halftimereport@foxnews.com with your tips, comments or questions. Scoreboard: Trump job performance average approval, 41.8%, average disapproval, 54.4%, net score, minus 12.6 point change from 1 week ago, up 3.6 points, average includes, Fox News, 46% approve, 52% disapprove, Gallup, 44% approve, 52% unapprove, CNN, 42% approve, 54% disapproval, IBD, 39% approve, 57% disapprove, Quinnipiac University, 38% approve, 57% disapprove, Fox poll, majority thinks Dems can unseat Trump in 2020, Fox News. After President Donald Trump took office, many voters doubted he would finish his term, much less stand for re-election. But as the 2020 race heats up, voters are increasingly confident the eventual Democratic nominee will indeed face off against the current occupant of the White House. In August 2017, 58% thought Trump would finish his term. Now 70% do, according to the latest Fox News poll released Thursday. The poll also found, paradoxically, an even higher number, 80%, think Trump will run for re-election. 14% do not. So what are the odds the Democrats defeat Trump? A 55% majority say either excellent, 19%, or good, 36%, while 39% think they have either no chance, 13%, or not much of one, 26%. Most Democrats, 84%, and a plurality of independents, 48%, think the Democratic Party's chances are excellent or good. Iowa poll, voters think that seasoned politician can defeat Trump. Des Moines Register, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders top the list of potential presidential candidates preferred by Iowa's likely Democratic caucus goers, reflecting their belief that it will take political experience to defeat President Donald Trump in 2020. The results are part of a new Des Moines Register, CNN, Mediacom Iowa poll, setting the stage for the contest that will sweep across Iowa in the next 14 months. Nearly half of poll respondents in the first-in-the-nation presidential caucus state, 49%, say the right person to defeat Trump should be a seasoned political hand, rather than a newcomer. 36% of poll respondents say a political newcomer is best suited to defeat the president. That role, Iowans currently favor Beto O'Rourke, ex-Massachusetts Gov. Weld announces exploratory committee, ABC News, former Massachusetts Gov. William Weld, little known on the national stage but well-respected among veterans in the GOP establishment, announced an exploratory committee for president on Friday, becoming the first Republican to move toward a serious primary challenge against President Donald Trump. There are new signs he won't be the last. In the immediate aftermath of the 73-year-old Weld's announcement at a breakfast event in New Hampshire, a senior aide for former Ohio Gov. John Kasich indicated Kasich is likely to launch a primary challenge as well. Maryland Gov. Larry Hogan, meanwhile, met privately last week with conservative leader Bill Kristol, who's driving an effort to recruit a top-tier Trump primary challenger and operatives on the ground in key states. Weld's move makes Trump the first incumbent president since George H.W. Bush in 1992 to face a notable primary challenge. Team Trump keeping close eye on Harris, Warren and Booker. Politico. Donald Trump's political advisors are homing in on 3 declared Democratic candidates who they believe are the most viable at this early stage of the campaign. The re-election campaign has begun compiling opposition research on Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker and is eyeing opportunities to attack them. Trump's advisors are certain the list of announced Democratic candidates will grow exponentially before the first primary debate in June, and that their targets are certain to fluctuate over time. Interviews with more than 24 of the president's closest advisors reveal that the Trump operation is watching the opening days of the Democratic primary with a mix of relief over the field's sprint to the left, surprise over Harris's impressive launch, and trepidation over the prospect of Joe Biden and Sherrod Brown threatening Trump's Midwest stranglehold. Schultz won't run if Dems nominate a centrist WAPO. Former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz said Thursday that he would be willing to abandon his presidential ambitions midstream if Democrats nominate a centrist who makes it too difficult for him to win as an independent candidate. Schultz, who made the comments while visiting the Washington Post, has premised his exploration of a presidential campaign on the assumption that Democrats are likely to nominate a candidate that embraces what he calls far-left ideas that will turn off enough moderate voters to open space for an independent candidate. He has paid for internal polling that he says suggests he would be competitive in a three-way race against President Trump and a liberal Democratic candidate such as Sen. Harris, D. Califf, Senator Elizabeth Warren, D. Mass, or Senator Bernie Sanders, I. Vermont. A more moderate Democratic nominee, such as former Vice President Joe Biden or former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, could complicate Schultz's perceived path to victory. Beto heads to the Midwest. Politico. Beto O'Rourke is hitting the road again, this time for the Midwest. Following a massive rally in his hometown of El Paso, Texas, on Monday, the former Texas congressman and potential presidential candidate will visit with students at University of Wisconsin-Madison on Friday. He will then travel to Chicago, where he will address a national conference of the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute on Saturday. Julian Castro, who has already declared for president, is also scheduled to speak at that event. O'Rourke's meeting with students is close to the media, a spokesman confirmed. The events mark O'Rourke's first public steps outside of Texas since a solo road trip that drew widespread attention throughout the Southwest. The visits come as O'Rourke edges closer to a presidential campaign. He has said he will make a decision about entering the race by the end of the month. Poll: New Jersey voters aren't feeling Booker's presidential bid. Monmouth University. Sen. Cory Booker's nascent presidential bid may get mixed reviews in his home state, but he starts off on much better footing than New Jersey's last major contender, former Governor Chris Christie. The Monmouth University poll finds that Booker continues to earn a net positive job rating from Garden State residents, although his disapproval numbers have climbed. Most feel he will not be able to keep up with his senatorial duties while he is running for president but don't think he needs to resign. However, if Booker is able to win the Democratic nomination, most New Jerseyans say he should forego a simultaneous run to retain his U.S. Senate seat in 2020. Booker earns a 48% approve to 36% disapprove rating from Garden State residents for his performance as the state's junior U.S. Senator. Booker's disapproval rating is the highest it has been since he took office in 2013. Dems announce first debate details. NYT. The Democratic National Committee on Thursday unveiled the criteria for participation in the first two presidential primary debates, splitting the debates across 2 consecutive nights to accommodate an already sprawling field of candidates. To qualify, a candidate must either reach 1% in 3 approved polls or raise at least $65,000 from 200 donors in 20 different states. Each candidate slot will be selected by a random drawing. The criteria will apply only to the first 2 debates, scheduled for back-to-back weeknights in June and July, allowing the committee to update its requirements as the field shifts. NBC News, MSNBC and Telemundo are sponsoring the first debate, and CNN will host the second, with specific dates and locations to be announced in the coming weeks. Play-by-play Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg returns to work. NBC News program, Trump needs a transfer, may have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Fox News interesting read, the most important new woman in Congress is not who you think. Politico Supco to decide whether citizenship question can be included in 2020 census. Fox News McCabe rep downplays DOJ discussions on using 25th Amendment to oust Trump. Fox News audible, time will tell, we're nicer people. I mean look who they produced. Sen. Sherrod Brown, D. Ohio, said of Republicans and Trump to Politico. Brown added that Democrats will continue to remain nice to one another through primary season. Any given Sunday this weekend, Mr. Sunday will sit down with Rush Limbaugh. Watch Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. Check local listings for broadcast times in your area. Watch Something Special Turnip-ed EVENTUALLYWEHT. Valentine's Day is a chance to get your significant other something special. Sometimes, people will let you in on what they're looking for, but one Ohio County man's Valentine's mix-up caused some big laughs on Thursday. Alan and Nina Harris, of Hartford, Kentucky, have been married since 2006. For Valentine's Day this year, Nina wanted something that would last, so she told Alan that if he got her flowers, she'd like some tulips that she could plant outside. Tulips are an annual, which means they will come back every year. However, Nina did not know how to react when Alan showed up with turnips for Valentine's Day on Thursday. Alan had apparently misunderstood what Nina wanted. Once the couple worked through what had happened, Alan did eventually go and get some tulips as well, and now, a word from Charles, one price of demystifying the universe is that science, unlike religion, asks only how, not why. As to the purpose of things, science is silent. But if science cannot talk about meaning, it can talk about harmony. And Halley's Comet, it is at once a symbol and a proof of a deep harmony of the spheres. Charles Krauthammer, 1950-2018, writing in the Washington Post on Dec. 13, 1985. Brianna McClellan contributed to this report. Want Fox News Halftime Report in your inbox every day? Sign up here.